Daredevil has come a long way. From its 2015 Netflix debut to the TV Avengers event known as Defenders from 2017, cancellation in 2018 after the high of season 3, to his not so technical but official MCU entrance in Spider-Man No Way Home, to him doing Hulk smashes with She-Hulk on Disney Plus, all the way to his show coming back and then coming back again, Reborn. Did I mention they finally threw some D's on that bitch? Everything looks better with double D's, most things. Ace too, but guys, Daredevil Born Again dropped finally this past March 4th with 2 premiere episodes, and we have now, at this point in time, gotten to episode 6 with another double drop, which came as a surprise to me, more work. So after this week, we have 3 more weeks of Daredevil Born Again until season 2 drops, which they are shooting now, hence those beautiful double D's, which would be just as nice if they were B's, just saying. That is likely to drop next year around the same time, but with Daredevil finally coming back, there are a plethora of questions we must ask. Did the rebirth work? Is what the show is now better than what it could have been considering all of the Netflix stuff they tried to leave out? And does it stack up to the Netflix show? We're gonna get into all that right now. Speaking of stacked, did I mention those double D's? Well, I know we all like double C's here. You better. So we got our Nelson, Murdoch, and Paige gang back again after so many years. Back at Josie's, Karen and Matt are doing their thing. Deborah Ann Wall is just as fine as ever. Eldon Henson has got Foggy on swag mode now, and he's doing a little bit of rizzing. And Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock is as beautiful as ever. It feels different, but there is a euphoria of just seeing everyone together again. A rush of happiness that is quickly ripped away from you when outside of Josie's we see the death of Foggy Nelson as Bullseye snipes him, setting Matt on his way for a rematch, and is essentially the impetus of Matt's path for the show. Now, I will say it is very exciting that they have the ability to display Daredevil's powers and agility to the fullest and the most comic accurate, because they got that Marvel Disney money now. You see Daredevil doing things that really exaggerate his abilities compared to the other times we've seen him at Netflix. I think truthfully the original show had so much sauce because it was a great show with dope writing, cinematography, and action, but the action was the cherry on the top, you know? It had bars, pretty shit to look at, awesome action, and bubbling under the surface at all times, it was teasing that everything was a lot more than it seems and could get a whole lot crazier. Now they can just make everything crazy all the time, so for that reason, I think they maybe leaned on that a bit too much for this Daredevil versus Bullseye rematch. It was cool, and you could see there was an effort to make something gorgeous and awesome, but Daredevil in terms of superhero media is peak pretty decidedly, so I can tell you this right now, Daredevil Born Again is not on the same level as the Daredevil Netflix show, but it's also kind of a different thing entirely. So the thing about Daredevil is that Daredevil is always awesome, almost like pizza, right? You might not have the best slice ever every time, but it's still always pretty damn good. So we get a nice little battle with them in Smoke and Darkness, with Bullseye just being an absolute demon trying to kill people every chance he gets any distance in between him and Daredevil, which, don't get me wrong, this looks dope, and I think it's so awesome that I can squint my eyes and deceive myself into believing I'm watching Spider-Man move around. I really do appreciate that, but there is an uncanny valley type thing going on where I do know this is not real, and so the tangibility of it all, and especially in contrast to the Netflix show, is very apparently lacking. But again, it's the sheer fact of it all that makes it so compelling, and the way it's handled as well has this thriving in the way that it is. Matt is in this epic, unexpected battle with an old foe and has to hear his best friend die, and the ultimate demon fucker that is Dex gives him that pat on the shoulder of like, fuck it, that's why I killed him. That sets Matt overboard and sets Dex overboard too, as Matt tosses him off the damn building. He was like, man, fuck every piece of your existence. It's so visceral and like carnal that you instantly just feel all the rage in Matt, along with the deep sadness. Bullseye, of course, thanks to that adamantium spine of his, survived, and so this leads to the real start of the show with the new intro, which again, it's nice. I dig the marble, the reassembling of the Daredevil statue, but it's just not the OG, which has infinite more sauce. The music is also just on another level. Again, I don't want to make this like a huge competition between this and the OG show all the time, but it just has to be said. Very reminiscent to the Moon Knight intro in my opinion. Still good stuff all around, but we pick up with Matt after a year, and then we pick up with our big Baldy coming back to New York after his time getting de-sigma'd by Echo. We see him reunite with Vanessa and him on his mayoral campaign. He and Matt have a reunion where they lament on the past a bit and essentially just say, you know, they're different people now, and that is behind them. Both the Daredevil and Kingpin are retired, but if any one of them steps out of line, they're gonna be on your ass. Fisk eventually wins and becomes mayor, and we find out that Vanessa had an affair. So from the first episode, we get the path both these men are going down, where they are trying to accomplish through legitimate or mostly legitimate means their aims, while trying to quell their darker or even more true natures, which just gives the most perfect pressure cooker type of environment for the show. We get Matt representing Hector Ayala, the White Tiger, and having to essentially go against the whole NYPD when Hector is framed for killing a cop after he tried to help a man from getting a beat down by them. And Matt is such a cheeky bastard when he tracks down that man, so they have a witness to prove Hector's innocence, and the crooked cops come through, start beating up on a blind guy, and are about to execute him. And you can tell Matt is just itching for this to happen. Like, this is the best possible scenario for him. He wanted them to do this so he could let the devil out on them, and he does. He beats the dog shit out of them, and I know after a year of no Daredevil, that must have been so cathartic for him. Matt takes every opportunity he can from that point on to make sure he rubs it in that cop's face, which is great, and he is able to get Hector his freedom back. Camar de los Reyes gave such an amazing performance. You can feel every different emotion so strongly. He really helps Matt reflect on his decision to stop being Daredevil, and also the whole trial just adds more texture to the MCU in my opinion. Like, this is the street level MCU where someone with a tiger amulet that gives them enhanced strength can exist. It's not out of the ordinary, and people just accept that, and I really wish She-Hulk had more of this. I think this would have worked far better within her show. Unfortunately, he gets taken out by the fake-ass Punisher fanboy crooked cops. It happened so fast, I was completely taken aback, and the performance from his niece, Angela Del Toro, played by Camila Rodriguez, was incredible. Everyone is on point in this show, performance-wise, but she really brought it in her grief and yearning for justice for her uncle's murder. This leads to Matt investigating the crime scene, where he finds the bullet casing with the Punisher logo and pays Frank a visit, which it was just incredible to see John Bernthal as Frank Castle again, and he really presses Matt about not being honest with himself about how he feels and how he handled Foggy's death. Matt's constantly fighting the devil that's in him when he should be embracing it. Fisk has just been up to his neck with being mayor and optics while trying to hold on to his marriage with counseling. Turns out he has the guy Vanessa had an affair with trapped in a cell that he basically has this super indulgent meal in front of before torturing him, which in episode 6 we see him open up the cell, give the guy a hatchet and tell him now we're even, and proceeds to beat the shit out of the guy, slapping the shit out of him, throwing him from the ceiling onto a table, punching him in the ear, slamming his ass hard into brick walls and breaking them, which is pretty damn hilarious when you think about it. There's a moment when they establish he's less fat at the beginning of the series, and then now he's ripping his suits, alluding to him falling into his criminal ways again, which is really he's eating a good ass meal, getting litty off of wine, and then whooping this guy's ass often. Again, super hilarious when you think about it. Matt is also dealing with slipping back into his nature, and we get a bit of, I think, like an Evanescence Daredevil moment from the 2000s with one of his old weapons. All the while, they have Muse to deal with in the background, who is killing people and using their blood to paint murals with. We get a bit of a filler connective thread episode at episode 5, which I imagine is the reason we got episode 6 on the same day. It was kind of one of the weaker episodes, which wasn't as bad upon rewatch. We have Yusuf Khan, which is crazy that he's in the show, but basically he just drops that Kamala is on the West Coast and tells Matt his firm is not eligible for a loan right before the bank gets held up, and we get a hostage negotiation type episode going where Matt uses his skills to totally derail the whole operation. Just watching this man do his thing is incredible. Matt does it all, okay? That's why people call him the Catholic Zohan, and by people, I just mean myself, because I can't help myself. He stops anyone getting killed, stops this gem from being stolen, and makes friends with Yusuf Khan, so we're probably gonna get a Miss Marvel and Daredevil team up in the near future, maybe for season 2. It's pretty wild that that'll come before a Spider-Man team up, but oh well, thanks again, Sony. This last past episode, we see the violent nature seep out as Fisk gets a visit from Luca that throws him over the edge. The whole time Luca was giving Fisk friction, I was just waiting on him to snap right there, and just that tension of knowing the man Fisk is and what that type of attitude can bring out of him, and watching that be restrained is so enthralling. Seeing Matt praying again and the superhero mask question Heather poses is interesting as well, and is indicative of the main theme of the show, which is like fighting your nature, and if the mask reveals your nature or strips you of your nature. And Daredevil is just such a blessing of a show. We get Fisk at the behest of New York's elite and has to schmooze, but to no avail it seems. We also get to see Swartzman back, so that was kind of nice. It's an interesting position to put Kingpin in that he's not used to. Fisk's main thing is to start some kind of anti-vigilante crime force, so he takes all of the bad cops or cops that have extended their power and is, well, giving them the opportunity to turn off their body cams. So very Devil's Reign-ish, and I'd say way less actual Daredevil Born Again, at least comic inspiration wise. We also have Cole North's live action debut, who is a more recent character from volume 6 of Daredevil from 2019. So I'm definitely going to be doing some rereading from this era, which I think I might actually have most of this physically. Matt is conflicted due to Angela's grieving for her uncle and her dissatisfaction with leaving her uncle's murder in the hands of the police. And on the flip side, Cherry, who knows Matt's Daredevil, is trying to tell him to let the system do its thing, but Cherry already gave up. He's there so Matt doesn't listen to him, which once Angela goes missing, he does the right thing, says fuck it like a true OG, drips out, and goes and lays a diabolical beatdown on Muse right before he could bloodlet her to death and use her as fucking paint. This fight was incredible, okay? Daredevil does this like crouching backflip kick that was just beautiful. He's whipping the billy club around like Cap with the shield, and Muse is doing some impressive stuff too, which is like, where did you even learn this from, dude? They are throwing serious combos, and there's a moment where Daredevil seems like he's going to kill Muse, letting his violent nature take over, but he chooses to maintain balance and save Angela. Also, Muse is terrifying. Like, the look of his mask and his eyes are giving major Tusk vibes. If you've seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about. But of course, Daredevil prevails, unlike the police could have, and that's where we are as of now. As far as this show goes, and especially after rewatching it so much, I'm seriously impressed at how good it is based on how much it had to endure in terms of what it was and what they added after they reworked the show. I think the only part that feels not so developed is the Daniel Blake character and Muse, but even at that, their purposes seem to be getting adequately served. The action is still super on point, the performances all around are still strong, the effort towards the cinematography seems to be there, and although it hasn't proven itself to be on the same level as the Netflix show, it's still solid, and the writing is surprisingly compelling. I just know that the last 3 episodes are going to go so unbelievably hard. I think it's about time Bullseye comes back, and hopefully in a comic accurate suit and becomes a problem. I think this will turn Matt into Shadowland Daredevil. I do want to see Bullseye live and just be a complete problem for the street level MCU characters. I can't wait to see Kingpin let loose again. That is why, as of right now, Daredevil Born Again is a fluctuating 7.5 to 8, and I think it could go higher. All in all, I'm so glad we got Peak back, so Loki is finally getting some serious comp for best Disney Plus show. I might make a video on the whole chair stream we had this past Tuesday, but my tweet sums up pretty much how I feel. The Superman official trailer is more than likely dropping this Tuesday, so if it does, expect a Superman Sunday, players. Anyways, let me know what y'all think of Daredevil so far and what you're expecting for the finale. That's it. If you liked the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope all of you guys are well, and I will see you in the next one.